Hi Gunners, I'm here right now with our friend of the house, Chris Whitley's in the house right again. Welcome, Chris Whitley from Football London, chief reporter of Arsenal. How are you, boy? How are you, boy? You never sleep. You were yesterday making tweets at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. for in UK. What are you doing, bro?
Hi everyone, first of all, and hi Gianfranco. Thanks for having me again. Pleasure to be on your channel. Well, I had a reason for that. It was Lionel Messi scoring an unbelievable goal. So I had to tweet it because it was so amazing. It wasn't Arsenal related. But yeah, during these kind of times, especially the transfer window, it's very difficult for me to sleep because I don't want to miss out on breaking information or getting stories. And that's just how it is as a journalist.
Isn't it? It's horrible, isn't it?
Well, for me, it's my passion, so I enjoy it.
For me too, but I don't want to sleep. I am very afraid if I sleep and some contract, some transfer Arsenal makes some transfer. For example, I lost Aaron Ramsdale presentation. I have to do it the next day because I wasn't at home. But you can't. You really can't. This transfer market is your when you have more work, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I work almost every day, so for me, the work doesn't stop. But like I say, it's my passion. It's my love, my first love. So I enjoy it. And
your club is your club. Okay, Chris. The last time we were here, I started the podcast talking about the excitement. Did you remember the excitement? We are in the bottom of the table. How can we be excited right now? I'm okay with that situation. Of course, not with the bottom of the table, but I'm okay because all the things passed around that. Mikel Arteta and Edu try to explain. Do you think they should do before this transfer market and not after the transfer market?
Good question. My opinion is no, because I think if Mikel Arteta and Edu explain publicly what Arsenal's strategy is in the transfer market, other clubs will then realise what Arsenal are trying to do, what players they're targeting, what age group they're targeting. And I think this raises prices up even higher as well. I think the strategy was correct. I think it was a good strategy because Arsenal are not playing in Europe for the first time in 25 years. They can only attract a certain type of player. And I think they've signed some good, young, hungry players. And we're going to have to wait and see how the team adapt. But I'm quite happy with the way the business has gone this season. I think Arsenal would have preferred to have sold some players, some fringe players like Sead Kolasinac, I think Mohamed El-Neni, Eddie Nketiah, these kind of players, but it didn't work in the end. But I think they'll be happy with most of their business.
Of course I'm sad because I guess Mikel Arteta wanted to do more moves. Do you have that impression, or they have all they want?
I think that ideally they would have brought in maybe two more players, a central midfielder and a striker. But Lacazette has obviously stayed at the club. He was expected to leave, but because of his salary, it was very difficult for him to be moved on to another team. So Lacazette stays, no striker comes in. And the central midfielder, well, we know what happened with Granit Xhaka. He was expected to leave. He was close to joining Roma. And then at the last minute, well, Arsenal, they didn't accept the bid because it wasn't enough money. So
it was. I guess it was okay. We can make the work for Mourinho, isn't it? Or we have. I'm very happy that Arsenal didn't give the impression that we are a state selling players very low, buying players very high price. I guess that was the signal they wanted to give to the rest of teams or clubs.
Yeah, I think they bought players who have a high market value. I think someone like Martin Ødegaard, they bought him for £30 million. He could be worth 50 or 60 million pounds in two years' time. The same with Ben White. He's an English player. We know English players cost an extra premium because they play in the Premier League, because they're English. I think Ben White looks really talented, but look, it's difficult to say how good a player is because we haven't seen these players play for Arsenal. Ben White played against Brentford. He had a difficult game. But the others, we've not really seen them other than Ødegaard. So I think we need to give it a few games and see how the team go. It's been such a bad start. It can't get any worse than this, surely. So hopefully Arsenal can get the 3 points against Norwich.
Well, we hope maybe this podcast is after that game. So we hope Arsenal have the 3 point right now. So Mikel Arteta talked about they need 5 or 6 markets to renew the team. When that begins? Right now, it begins the last season. When begins the 5 or 6 market? And also, is the work they trying to do to renew the club is still it will back again in the next transfer market? Do you think in January we are going to buy that striker or that mid center?
Well, I think in December or January, Mikel Arteta said they're 5 or 6 players away from having his team, having his kind of formation that he wants to play. I think it was a 4-3-3 formation that he said he wanted to play. Maybe that's changed a little bit now. But Arsenal have bought 5 or 6 players. So I guess now is the time to start judging the team. Like, we need them to play together first, see how they do. But I think now is the time to judge the team. And yeah, Arsenal want to do more business. They want to sign more players. But who knows what is going to happen in the next few months, how the results are going to go. If Arsenal lost 3 or 4 games in a row, I can't see the manager still being at the club. I think it's unlikely, especially with the fan pressure at the moment. I think the stadium as well. The stadium against Chelsea, I think it was a difficult atmosphere.
How was that? How was that? You were there. How was that? I don't know if you were also in the Manchester City game. How was that, Chris?
Yeah, I've been to all the games this season so far, and I think the most difficult atmosphere was the Chelsea game. Because, look, people weren't expecting Arsenal to win that match, but the performance was so poor. Down that left-hand side, Kieran Tierney had a really difficult time, and the fans were booing the team at half-time, at full-time. I don't think that's a good sign in your second game of the season when the fans are booing. So I think there's going to be that kind of impatience from the fans if Arsenal lose more games.
It's difficult asking for patience if you're on the bottom of the table. But Edu knows that. Mikel Arteta knows that. Oh, another guy, another person that was in the Chelsea's games, against Chelsea game, was David Seaman. He said that players are doing easy for them. The fans are only pushing for Arteta. Edu not much, but Arteta is like I don't know how to say, but he was very, very, very kicked by the fans. I don't know how to say. Do you think the players are taking easy, like David Seaman said?
I think this is something that people will always say if the team are playing really badly. Arsenal are bottom of the league, 9 goals conceded, 3 defeats in the first 3 games of the season. So people are going to say the players aren't trying hard enough. But I don't think it's a case of that. I think we know that Arsenal players are trying. It's the tactics. It's what they're told to do on the pitch. It's the instructions that they're given. If they don't follow those instructions or those instructions aren't good, then the results aren't going to come. I think what we've seen this season are a series of performances which haven't been helped by Arsenal missing lots of players. I know Arsenal are bottom of the league, but it's 3 games played, only 3 games played.
Only 3 games.
And a lot of players have been missing. Don't forget the first game, so many players were missing from COVID. Thomas Partey was missing, Gabriel for injury. And I think this has been the theme of the season. But now there's no excuses. Mikel Arteta has a fully fit squad to choose from. He has the players back. The new signings are here. There's no more excuses. The team need to start performing now.
Sure.
It doesn't matter how old they are because it's a results business. It's the Premier League and the fans want results now. And that's what needs to happen.
I always talk with the community in this channel about Emirates course. Do you think there is a course in the Emirates? We need to go to Highbury era.
I think it's been difficult, hasn't it, since Arsenal moved from Highbury. Now I'm 27 years old, so I just about remember Highbury in terms of the stadium, in terms of the atmosphere, how amazing it was. Such a unique stadium. Arsenal decided to move for financial reasons. Look, was it the best decision? I think it was a good decision because in the end they wanted a bigger stadium. You look at Tottenham, the way they've done it, they're doing fairly well at the moment. They haven't won any trophies, but in terms of the structure of the club, they're obviously doing quite well. I think Arsenal, we're looking in the past now. That was a decision they made. I think the biggest problem with Arsenal at the moment is maybe they appointed Mikel Arteta when they should have appointed someone with a bit more experience and know-how of the Premier League. That maybe is one of the reasons why Arsenal are struggling at this point. But of course, Arteta has experience alongside Guardiola, so I can understand the reasoning. But yeah, there has been a bit of a curse, hasn't there, over the past few years?
I say I never was happy when Arsenal was in Emirates because the only trophies we get up was in Wembley. It was in Wembley with the FA Cups. Chris, I want to connect these questions with this one. We live about 10 years and more, of course, but these 10 years since we moved to Emirates with the self-sustainability praying by Wenger, no? Wenger always said that auto-sustainability is what we want, but it wasn't the future. How much impact that in this time, at this time, those years with the failure of the auto-sustainability in football?
I think one thing we can't accuse Arsenal of is not spending money in the past few years. I think the first few years at the Emirates were very difficult under Wenger, and the way he managed the club was unbelievable. He signed players who were not good enough for Arsenal. I'm going to say maybe the likes of Marouane Chamakh, Sebastian Squillaci. Yeah, see, we both think of Squillaci at the same time.
Always thinking Squillaci and Marouane Chamakh.
Exactly, yeah. Look, these kind of players, because Arsenal had no other means to sign expensive players, good marquee players. Now they do have the money, and clearly they've invested £72.5 million in Pepe. Aubameyang was a very expensive 40 million. Lacazette, 50 million. Ben White, 50 million. We can't say that Arsenal aren't spending money. They're still a self-sustainable club, whatever you want to call it, because as far as we know, the Kroenkes aren't putting in their own money. But Arsenal are definitely spending money. So we can't accuse the club of maybe not having ambition on that kind of side of things. Maybe with the manager, they could have picked someone with more experience. But right now, the owners are sticking by Mikel Arteta. They believe in his project. But like I say, things change very quickly in football. So we have to wait and see.
Why do you think the Kroenkes believe in Mikel Arteta is his first job? Is his first job, Chris?